News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. Fed officials heading into their policy meeting this week confronting a resurgence in price pressures that could make their decision on whether to hold or hike interest rates a close call and maybe a contentious one. Former Kansas City Fed President Esther George.
I've been concerned for some time about the duration of elevated inflation in the economy. And yes, we've had a number of one-offs, as we call them, hitting the economy. But the truth is underlying inflation has remained well above the Fed's target.
Former Kansas City Fed President Esther George on Bloomberg Surveillance. Stay with Bloomberg for full coverage of the decision and Chair Warsh's news conference on a special edition of Bloomberg Surveillance, The Fed Decides. That's at 1:30 p.m. Wall Street time on Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. President Trump has reportedly said the U.S. would hit Iran hard after a recent attack that targeted a military base in Jordan. Fox News reports Trump said in a phone interview that Iran is, quote, going to get a beating. Retired Lieutenant General Karen Gibson is an advisor at Academy Security's Geopolitical Intelligence Group.
They don't want to return to full-scale warfare, but they seem comfortable with this current state of limbo. They're prepared to absorb additional U.S. strikes. They believe they're in a position of strength and have tremendous leverage over the president, and I think they think that time is on their side.
Retired Lieutenant General Karen Gibson was a guest on Bloomberg Surveillance. Crude oil jumped 8%. WTI now at $85 a barrel, and Brent crude nearing $91 a barrel. As oil rose, Wall Street traders sent stocks lower while the market braced for results from big AI spenders. We check markets for you all day long here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 is down more than 1%. NASDAQ is down 1.4%. The Dow down 1.75%. The Russell 2000 index down 1.5%. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index is about 4.5% lower, led by Micron, which is down more than 6%. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.64%, the 2-year yield at 4.33%. Now, SK Hynix shares are more than 7% lower after it announced second quarter operating profit missed estimates. Ford reported second quarter adjusted profit that topped estimates and boosted the 2026 adjusted guidance. Ford shares now 4% higher. Visa shares are about 1.5% higher after Visa reported a fiscal third quarter profit beating estimates. Visa is also set to eliminate roughly 2,600 jobs. That's about 7% of the workforce. Wall Street firms are rolling out investment products tied to SpaceX shares that aim to shield buyers from future losses amid a sharp sell-off following SpaceX's market debut. At least 5 financial firms, including Morgan Stanley and Merrick's Group, are seeking to offer SpaceX-linked structured notes that limit downside while capping gains over the coming months and years. SpaceX shares are now more than 4% lower. On Capitol Hill, Dr. Anthony Fauci invoked his Fifth Amendment right to not testify at a Senate committee hearing on his role in the U.S. response to COVID-19. In his opening remarks, Fauci said the hearing, chaired by Republican Senator Rand Paul, was designed to push him into saying something incriminating.
The only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, behind bars.
Senator Paul denied Fauci's assertion of privilege. He says a preemptive pardon that was issued by President Biden essentially waives that privilege. Paul says, quote, there will be repercussions for Fauci's refusal to answer questions at the hearing. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.